Hey guys, this is Makanor, and I'm going to discuss what I believe is the Otherkin spectrum and the varying degrees of beliefs in the Otherkin community. And I'm doing this because one of my subscribers asked me to do a video talking about psychological Otherkin and spiritual Otherkin and my thoughts on both of them, or my thoughts on it all. And basically, I believe that there's a spectrum in the Otherkin community involving spiritual Otherkin on one end and psychological Otherkin on another end. And it's it's just you have to break it down. Like both sides have different reasons for why they're Otherkin. For psychological Otherkin, it could be dissociative identity disorder, coping, a way of coping or a method of coping with trauma, whether it's any type of personal trauma one has experienced in their life. Some people identify as a way of imprinting that they've experienced from childhood or another stage of life from animal that they felt a connection with, or that they felt a deep personal connection with. And with spiritual otherkin, I feel some spiritual otherkin some spiritual otherkin are otherkin because of past life reincarnation, spiritual bonds and links to other creatures, shamanism. It's just a lot of things. Partial souls, split souls, dual souls. It's fragmentation. It's just a lot of different things, and that's what makes me love the Otherkin community, because you have this diversity in these beliefs and opinions and perspectives, and that's what the community is all about. The community should be about sharing and discussing. It should be about sharing different inputs and perspectives and coming out of the whole conversation a lot more better and a lot more educated about something. And personally, me, where I fall in this whole spectrum is probably somewhere in the middle. And the reason I say this is because I feel that there is a specific type of otherkin that falls square in the middle, and I call them symbolic otherkin. And the reason I say this is because I remember in the past when I was not researching, but I was looking up the definition of otherkin, because I do it from time to time. I saw one definition that said a person that identifies as non-human or feels they're non-human or has a non-human soul, whether it's psychologically, spiritually, or symbolically. And I feel symbolic otherkin are those that identify as a certain kin type or stereotype for the archetype that it portrays, the archetype that it embodies, the symbolism behind the creature or the kin type that they identify as. And I feel that this goes square in the middle. Not only this goes square in the middle because identifying as an archetype for the symbolism that it has, that to me is psychological. However, what makes it in the middle to me is that I feel that symbolic otherkin also have a deep spiritual significance to this archetype. They have a deep spiritual bond, or it holds some deep spiritual significance to them. And that's why I think symbolic otherkin are in the middle. And personally speaking, I feel I am a symbolic. I feel if I had to basically break myself down to a category of spiritual, psychological, or symbolic, I would be a symbolic type of otherkin. Now, basically, from my own experiences with each of the categories, I think psychological otherkin are very intelligent. From what I've seen and what I've experienced, psychological otherkin are very intelligent, and they're well educated and they know a lot of things, and that they can back it up. And from basically looking at groups and stuff, they're pretty good debaters. But the thing is, in my personal opinion, a good bit of psychological other can go way too far. Like, they just take everything and try to turn it into a debate. Like, if you bring up something even remotely metaphysical, they will try to turn it into a debate and, just tear it all down. And you shouldn't walk out of a debate feeling, I don't know, attacked, I guess. And, with spiritual otherkin, I feel spiritual otherkin are they're very intriguing. It's just very. It's the only word for it. Very intriguing. Like that's the good part about it with spiritual Otherkin. There's just so many different degrees of spiritual beliefs and perspectives that they are just so rich in that. However, one thing that annoys me from my own personal experiences is a good bit of spiritual Otherkin that I've encountered. If they're Therian, it always I mean not if they're Therian, but if they're like spiritual Otherkin, it always goes back to some type of crackpot theory or some crackpot belief that isn't backed up by anything. And so for me personally, I'm not only in the middle because I'm symbolic because I feel like I'm in the symbolic category. I'm also in the middle because I personally like being I personally like to educate myself. I personally like to do research. However, I personally like the different spiritual beliefs in the different spiritual beliefs that there are. And I love theories. I love all of this. But when I've encountered a good bit of spiritual Otherkin, there is no backing behind these theories. There's no resources, there's no citations, there's nothing. And I'm not really with the psychological Otherkin because with them when you bring up something metaphysical, it turns to a huge debate. And I'm not willing to get into a huge debate about something. I just want to talk about what I think, not what I believe as a fact, but what I think. And I don't want to get into a 3 hour long internet flaming debate about it. It's just not me. And another thing, to me, I've seen this in groups and in forums. To me, psychological otherkin seem to be, not all of them, but the ones I've seen to come across seem to be elitist. They seem to think that their way is the only way, and that anything different is wrong. And that there's just, that their path to being otherkin. And that's another reason I'm making this video, because I believe there's an otherkin spectrum and that each person's experience as being otherkin is individual to them and it's different. Now there you can't really just say definitively. You can't have just one person say definitively this person is an otherkin. No, this person is an otherkin, and that person is, because to me when I first saw a couple of people in forums and groups and whatnot, I would just see psychological otherkin just tear them down, and it didn't matter what answer they gave, whether it was a good reason for being otherkin or not. They weren't considered otherkin, and I just feel like one can't, in most cases, I'm not going to say all, because you do have trolls and you do have fakes and role players, but in most cases, you can't tell somebody that has a genuine answer or a genuine reason for identifying as otherkin. You can't tell them that they aren't otherkin. You can't dictate that for that person. Now, this is Makanor. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.